Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman in on a Monday. Happy Monday to everybody, getting your week started out there right. Hope you had a tremendous weekend, spectacular weekend, enjoying your summer in every possible way. We are here to bring you a slew of topics over the next hour. I feel like this is one of those shows where I don't have something really big, like there wasn't anything giant over the weekend. But a whole bunch of little things happen. We're going to try to touch on each of those and then, of course, give you the opportunity to join the show if you've had something you'd like to say. I hear from people all the time when I'm out in public. They walk up and say, boy, I like having you back on radio. I've always been afraid to call the radio show. Well, don't be scared. It's okay. Trust me, it's one of those things like, everybody gets nervous speaking in public. What you got to know when you're speaking in public is everybody sitting out there in the audience doesn't want to be you. They're like, no, I'm glad that person's up there doing that and not me. So they're on your side when you call the show. They're rooting for you. They'll pull you through. If you've never called a radio show, we'd like for this at some point for you to get the courage to call in. We like to hear a lot of different viewpoints. So feel free later in the show. We'll be taking some of your phone calls. We will get into some unbelievable crime stats with ICE in Houston, of all places. One city, one small, tiny little city. We'll talk about that later in the show and how many illegal alien criminals they've arrested there and what those people have done. This is crazy. That's just one city in this country. And later with Mark, when we talk a little sports, there's a man in Canada that got drunk playing golf and was thrown into a pond. Some 40 million people have watched the video, and the guy has now come public. We know his name, and we know why he got thrown in the pond, and we'll talk about why he is apologizing. Don't get drunk while you're playing golf and get thrown in a pond. That seems like a really low bar. Hundreds of millions of people have played golf, and I think only one's ever gotten drunk and been thrown in a pond. And, of course, it was a Canadian. Yes. And he was playing 36 holes, and I think they were doing that beer a hole thing, so it was kind of nasty. We'll get into that coming up later. All right, I want to start today with the auto pen and a story in the New York Times that they've put out about what has transpired with the auto pen and Joe Biden. And we know that Joe Biden, with all of his pardons, signed one of them. He signed a total of one pardon, and that was his son's, with real ink and a real pen. The rest were generated by AutoPen. And now Joe Biden has broken his silence, and he's basically saying, I made every decision, but there were so many of them. We granted clemency to so many people, we AutoPen them. That sounds right, but does that sound like Joe Biden? Does that sound like something he thought through? Doesn't really sound like that to me. The other thing with Joe Biden is we can't go back and believe anything he says. We just know too much now that was not true. So I've pulled out one little passage from this story. This is the key part. I just want you to listen to this. Is the New York Times, which you would think is trying to lessen the story a little bit here and maybe slant it to the left and favor Biden. Listen to how they describe what happened one night on January 19th. Okay, this is like January 19th, right before he's leaving office, right? January 19th meeting, it took place in the yellow Oval Room of the White House residence. Mr. Biden kept his seats until nearly 10 p.m. Well, what a late night worker this president was, to talk through such decisions, according to people familiar with the matter. The emails show that an aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft summary of Mr. Biden's decisions at that meeting to an assistant to Mr. Zients, copying Mr. Siskel at 10:03 p.m. The assistant forwarded it to Mr. Reed and Mr. Zients, asking for their approval, and then they sent a final version to Ms. Feldman, copying many meeting participants and aides at 10:28 p.m. 3 minutes later, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, quote, I approve the use of the auto pen for the execution of all of the following pardons, unquote. So the actual signatures and signing of them were approved by Zients, part of the staff, in a reply all to everyone to get these things signed. And off they went, and they got them signed. AutoPen they were. Headlining the AutoPen signatures, of course, is Anthony Fauci, who many people believe committed crimes against humanity. There's been an uproar over Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files and all these other cases. I would be far more in support of investigating and prosecuting Anthony Fauci for crimes against humanity than I would be some deep state thing that went on with Epstein and all the pervs that were flying down to Epstein Island. That's just me. Epstein's dead, Fauci's not. Maybe that's where I draw the line. I stated this a couple times last week. You probably know that. I think the auto pen's a real scandal. I do. I do not believe in any meaningful way that Joe Biden knew much about the hundreds of people that he was signing for, or thousands. I think it wound up being thousands, wasn't it? So Joe Biden says he approved it. You're telling me in a meeting at some point, every single person that Joe Biden pardoned, it was brought up to him and the case was given by a staff member, and he listened to the story about this person and why they needed to be pardoned, and then made a conscious decision right then and there and added them to the list. This would take weeks. I don't know how you could make a pardon decision with somebody pitching the pardon to you and deciding. I don't know how you could possibly do that in under 10 minutes. Any single pardon. Because these are not, a lot of these, not people he knows. Just blanket pardons. Now, Fauci, that's fine. He took one for the two. Fauci was our boy. No discussion. Rubber stamp, auto pen. Let's do it. But why would Joe Biden go to the trouble of using an ink pen to sign his son's pardon and zero of the others? They're all just lumped into one category, fired through a machine, and auto penned. It's the part I really don't get. And some of these were people around him. They were relatives of his, part of his cabinet, staff, people that he knows very, very well. Why didn't they take, let's say, I'm just throwing a number out. Let's say 25 of these were high-profile pardons, and some of them in advance for people who have not been charged with anything. Blanket pardons for the future in case somebody comes after them. Why wouldn't you sign all those in ink? Even if it was 20, even if it was 50 of them, why wouldn't you sign those? This was the sloppiest administration ever. You're getting down to that point. You're doing all these pardons. Joe clearly was thinking, I got to sign Hunter's, and he did. How do they not say, look, these other people, let's make sure we do all these. Let's bring them across Joe's desk. The rest of them we can run through the machine. These people were sloppy at every turn. It wasn't just Sleepy Joe. Everything they did, I think this is probably typical of Democrats. They take the easy way out. They just do things sloppy and easy across the board. It's kind of in their DNA to think the way they think and do things the way they do. But I think the most troublesome thing here to me was, why not just pick 20 of these out? Why not sign Fauci's? Why not sign your brothers and family members and friends and other big high-profile politicians? Why not sign those? That couldn't have taken very long. You bring him across his desk, he signs them. I don't understand how these people operated. We know what kind of damage they did. The results were incredibly bad for America and are quickly being reversed. And we've seen that in almost every metric measurable. Your federal government right now is superior to the 4 Biden years in anything you can measure. The only complaint anybody would have is, oh, government employees are getting laid off. Have you seen these videos of these people that are leaving their jobs? I think there's another 3,000 are going to get fired at the State Department. Have you seen the videos, what they're doing in these federal buildings in D.C.? This is your tax dollars at work. Let's say 500 people work in a building and 30 of them just got laid off. And like Friday was their last day of last week. Last Friday was their last day. And so they're gathering up their boxes at the end of the day, and everybody that works in the building lines up like it's Patrick Mahomes running out the tunnel at Arrowhead. There's cheerleaders all over the field. Casey Wolf's jumping up and down. That's what they're doing for these people, like they're heroes. Like we got to get them staff Purple Hearts for serving their country. I can sympathize with anybody that loses their job, but guess what? We have 2 million new American citizen jobs since Donald Trump took office in January. There's plenty of hiring going on out there. You might not have your cushy government gig, but you get to take your pension with you, I'm sure, out the door. If you've been there any time at all, you're getting something. They're lining up and they're clapping for, oh, they're just throwing things, and they got balloons and party favors and whistles. Like, are you kidding me? They're trying at every level. They're trying to embarrass Trump somehow. They're like, oh, let's make a big scene of this. We'll get on the news. This will make Trump look bad. You know what happens when I look at it? I'm like, hell yeah. Grab your box, fill your stuff up, and go find a real job. We don't need all of you. It's not personal. We don't need all of you in the federal government. That cannot be argued. We've been at this 6 months. Tens of thousands have lost their job in the federal government. We've been at this 6 nationwide. Has anything changed for you? at any turn, unless it was you or a family member or a loved one, or you know somebody that lost their job and they're still unemployed or struggling or whatever, that's a different deal. But for you, unaffiliated to any of the layoffs, have you noticed that your government just isn't any good anymore? Doggone it. We were really good when we had all those other employees, but now I just don't feel like this federal government's working out. Nobody misses them. They're not even close to how many should be let go. I mean, it should be like 1 million more. It's crazy how many of these people can go. And they're making a big scene out of it, trying to embarrass. I'm like, really? On the heels of the Biden administration and the way they ran the auto pen and their entire administration and the things that they did and the open borders and the terrible economy and the record inflation and the incredible crime, all of those things just happened. And you want us to sympathize with making the government smaller and leaner. In June, we had our first surplus in 20-some years. In the Treasury. We took in more money than we spent in the United States. Incredible that he was able to do that in 5 months' time. Just remarkable what's going on at every turn, every single metric. The border, 0 crossings, 0. There's self-deportation taking place, and they're catching criminals right and left. No, this is going well, and America sees it. Later, we'll share some more polling with you that reflects that even in battleground areas, they don't think much of Democrats right now because they've just come off this disastrous administration led by the auto pen. And I say get to the bottom of this. I want to find out how this country was operating. If nothing else, we got to find a way to prevent it going forward. 913-408-7957. That's 913-408-7957. I'd love to chat with you. Come on in and say hello. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.
Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled. 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
We're back. Thanks for joining us, as always, on KCMO Talk Radio. Great to have you on board, and we're going to the phones. If you'd like to join the conversation, 913-408-7957. We start today with Jeff in Shawnee. Hi, Jeff. How was your weekend, buddy?
I was down at the Lake of the Ozarks, enjoying the lake.
Fantastic.
Great show, but I tell you what, Kevin, man. The auto pen, yeah, it upsets me. But over the week, every show was about Epstein. I know you don't want to go down this road, but isn't it funny? Not one Democrat in the last 6 months, Democrats have been all up in Trump's business. Hardly any, if any, Democrats came out and said he did the wrong thing by not letting these be released or putting them to night. I've come to the conclusion it's a boys' club. I'm still a Republican. I'll still be a Republican. But let's go down the trail of the auto pen. Nothing's going to happen, man. I mean, he's down there visiting the flood people, the girls, and talking about what a tragedy is. But he's not talking about these little girls and little boys. I mean, I can't let that go, man. I don't think a lot of the Republicans out there can let it go. I mean, let's address this Epstein thing before we address, auto pen or all this other stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't even understand. I mean, who do you want to go after? Epstein's dead and his lover's in jail. Where do you want him to go? I mean, the only thing that really holds weight with me, hang on one second. The one thing that holds weight with me is if there are ties to Israel or the United Kingdom, and this was some sort of a co-op thing or something was going on with those, that might be the reason we're not learning about this. That's a whole different deal than trying to put Bill Gates in jail.
Yeah, but here's the deal. What we've been told since he's getting office, we're going to be transparent. And he has been up to this point. Up to this point, Trump, I'm behind 110%.
But you want the list. You want the list.
About that guy?
You want the list, and let's say the list has 200 people on it. There's no way all 200 people are pedophiles. I'm sorry, you tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think Oprah Winfrey went down to that island and had sex with a minor girl. I don't believe that. I think there were all kinds of people. So if you release the list, now you're releasing all kinds of people, implicating them, making them look guilty that didn't do anything wrong. Trust me, there were plenty of trips that weren't like that. There were plenty that were. So now how are you going to find out who those are? And I would ask you, how are you going to confirm that Bill Gates is a pedophile if indeed he is? How are you going to confirm that? The guy's dead.
I don't know.
The woman in jail ain't talking. The only way is to get her to talk. You think you can get her to talk?
His wife claims she left him because of that. So, I mean, that's his wife.
All right. So,
that's somebody he loved.
So if anything, I would like to hear Pam Bondi or whomever say, we're going to go to Ghislaine Maxwell. Is that her name? We're going to go sit down in jail with her, and we're going to offer complete release, and we'll put her in exile. We'll set her up, put her in witness protection, the whole thing, if she gives up the goods. That's the only thing I'm interested in. If she did that, great. I don't care about some list.
You better get to it pretty quick. No, I'm just deflated.
Of course you are. These people don't get arrested, dude. They're the elite ruling class. They're billionaires and they're politicians. Do you think one of them's a prince, for God's sake? Am I wrong? He's in the royal family?
Hey, Kevin, in high school, I got a buddy of mine that was urinating beside his car at Pogo's. Dude, he got arrested.
Okay.
And has a criminal record. And that was just.
And he's not part of the British royal family. And he's not Bill Gates. And he's not Oprah.
Hey, like that great comedian said, man, it's a good old boy system.
No question.
It's ran by a couple dozen families. And I listen to you every day. I listen to Mundo every day. I go, Mundo's got 3 girls. You got a daughter. I mean, I got granddaughters.
Right.
I mean, are we going to address this or just go back to idle pen and the weight of, of our quarterback's weight?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh. I'm just frustrated.
I know you are.
I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the system. Man.
I understand, and I'm with you. I get it. Some really bad, thank you for the call, bad and nefarious things happened. It was terrible. There's just not much you can do right now unless you can get her to become a witness and say this person did this, and this. Then you can charge him. Then you can prosecute him. Then you can put her on the stand if she stays alive that long. But my God, Epstein's dead. The whole thing's over. It's awful. All I know is it does not take a really smart person to know that people like Bill Gates, a prince from the royal family, and the richest people in Hollywood don't go to jail. It's very hard to do. Some have. Bill Cosby's in jail, right? Some have. But on this deal where you're flying literally to another country, right? Was that island even American? It was part of the Virgin Islands, right? Was it British or American?
I think it was British.
I think it was
I
British
have to
too.
double-check that,
I think
yeah.
there's international injury here. Okay, then what? Then what crime was committed in America? I don't know. I don't know any of these things. I just don't. We can sit here and cheer for all these incredibly elite and powerful people to get in trouble, but it's just very unlikely.
Said United States Virgin Islands.
Oh, United States Virgin Islands. Okay, good enough. Kevin's in Overland Park. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, Kevin. I was just going to talk as well about Epstein. There's, to me, it's going to end up just like everything else that ends up in D.C. is where, we get our hopes up or we think, okay, finally we'll see justice or someone in handcuffs or whatever, and nothing happens. It's like when they announced about Brennan and Comey. I'm not holding my breath. Nothing's going to happen to those guys. I don't see, it creates a news story for a bit and then it's gone.
Now, you just touched on it. You've touched on it. This is what we hate about Democrats. The crazy people on the left drive a narrative, okay? So the Steve Bannons, the Dan Bonginos, the Megyn Kellys, the Tucker Carlsons of the world have been out there sensationalizing this thing forever and promising that they know there's something to this. They know more than anybody. They know, and so they do that. And they're feeding you full of something that may not even exist. They're doing it for clicks. They're doing it for downloads. They're doing it to get rich. That's the game.
Oh, yeah.
And they all got rich off the Epstein story. And maybe there isn't a story there. Is that possible?
I think there is, and I think
I do too, but I'm talking about a provable one. Is there a provable investigation out there? I don't think there is.
they issued search warrants for basically all of his residences. So New York,
Right.
Virgin Islands, I can't remember where, Arizona. I think he had a place in Arizona or something like that. And to me, my question is, I'm not asking for a client list. I'm asking for whatever videos they pulled from those places, because there were cameras in all of those places. So there's when they do a search warrant of a place.
So
they're
you
gonna
think
catalog everything that
you think Bill Gates got on a plane, is a pedophile, wanted to have sex with children, and was allowed to be videotaped doing that?
I think there's a number of them.
Okay.
I think Oprah as well.
Oh my.
You
You think Oprah Winfrey, as media savvy as she is, you think she allowed herself to be videotaped having sex with a minor? I'm sorry. I can't. Folks, I can't. You can think that exists? There may be pictures on the plane or a video of arrival or a dinner that they had one night and people are at the table. We've seen that. We've seen the member of the royal family with the young girl. We've seen that picture. Those exist. You think these people allowed themselves to be videotaped having sex with minors on Epstein Island? I can't help you. If you think people just wiped out the evidence and everybody wanted to be videotaped because, I like having sex with kids. Ooh. All right, Uncanceled continues. This is KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM.
It's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Fabulous numbers in the city of Houston in June. ICE arrested 1,361 criminal aliens in Houston. 32 were child predators and 9 were murderers. 1,361 in 1 month in one city. That's outstanding. They've all committed crimes, and they are all here illegally. The work is getting done while we go about our lives, and I love that. Back to the phones we go. Here's Wes in Gladstone on KCMO. Good morning, Wes.
Yeah, Kev, everything you're saying about Epstein is correct. Everybody within the sound of my voice, give it up, boys. It's over, okay? Now, as far as the pardons go, we know what the Biden crime family was into. They were into the double G's, grift and graft. And until someone shows me proof, I say that his staff started selling those pardons at the end. He didn't know a damn thing about them. They were selling them. The big question for someone like Kietzman to research and find out is, how much did Fauci's pardon cost him?
I think they were all in on Fauci. I think he got a freebie personally. If they were charging for pardons, I think his was free. He was their god. I mean, they worshipped at the altar of Fauci for 3 years. He was the god of the Democrat Party. He really was.
Well, Kevin, I would say, JFK Jr. wrote a book about him early on, okay, right after the COVID thing broke. Rand Paul's got him cold for funding bioweapons research, which is against the law. I think those people knew that, and that's why they went to him and said, how much is a pardon worth to you? So we'll disagree on to that, but everybody focus in on the winning, the Epstein thing, let it go.
Right, and that's why this bothers me. Thank you, good call. It bothers me so much because this is as much Bongino and Tucker and all these people with all these followers and listeners that do so well in podcasting nationally. They just play into people that want so much to be true that may or may not be true. They want everyone on that list. They want to believe that everyone on that list is a pedophile and everyone on a list should go to jail. They want to believe that, and they prey on you. I'm telling you, these people, this is a self-inflicted wound by the Trump administration. All right, the second you hired Dan Bongino, after what he had said about Epstein and everything, the second you bring Bongino in to your administration, bring him into the FBI, it was going to be rocky. It was never going to work between him and Pam Bondi, and it never will. It won't. Bongino doesn't belong in government. I'm just saying. He's great at what he does on radio, podcasting, whatever. Loved it when he was right here on KCMO. A lot of people loved his show. He's not government material. He doesn't work and play. I know this from experience. I don't work and play well with others. I'd be terrible in the government. I would get to a point where I'd just sit in my cubicle and not do anything all day. Because I'd be like, I want to try to do this. And every turn they shut you down. That's what the government does. Hey, let's go do this. Nope, can't do that. Hey, let's do this. Oh, you got to get 3 approvals to do that. It would drive me crazy. I couldn't do that. And that's what Bongino's running into. And it's ugly. And this is self-inflicted. And there is no reason with everything going on in America today with this administration and the good things that we're doing and the big things we need to address and tackle, there is no reason to be wasting our time on Epstein. It just doesn't make any sense to me. That's just not where this should all be. There have to be far more important things than this. I can't see that it's any other way. David's in Overland Park on KCMO Talk.
Hi, Kevin. I agree. There are not all kinds of lists and videotapes and evidence of, scores and scores of pedophiles or rich people. I'll agree with you right away on that. But the reality is there's a lot to this story that the government isn't releasing. They have not released everything.
Okay.
And they should. Why not? That's transparency. And I don't care about Epstein, but Kevin, this is important because this goes to secrecy, deep state government.
Of course.
And that's the problem.
So let me ask you this. What about the hundreds of people that may have known Epstein and flew down there and never did anything wrong?
What about them?
You just going to release those names and make them look like a pedophile?
Who says they look like a pedophile?
Of course. Come on. You just said release everybody's name. Total transparency. Let's say there's 400 names and Donald Trump's one of them. Does that make Trump a pedophile? Or does that mean he went there?
Of course not. Alan Dershowitz
So
is on
what's
there
the point
too,
of
but he
releasing the
came forward
names?
and said, "I'm on there because
Listen,
I rode on a plane with
Listen,
him."
I'm with you. I'd love to see it done too. There's only one way and has nothing to do with a list. We need a witness. We need somebody to name names and say this happened on this date, and I will sit at a trial and put this person away. Nobody's stepping forward and doing that.
No, because Giselle Maxwell doesn't want to get suicided.
Well,
That's
and
why.
what about the young people that were abused? They don't want to do it either. They're afraid of getting killed.
Our government has information about a dead guy that had access to powerful people, and they won't tell us what that information is. That ought to scare you.
Well, we know some of the information because we've seen a lot of names that are on flight logs. So we've seen that. We've seen some information. Certainly not all of it. But we've definitely seen some of it. So I don't know, man. I've been doing this 7 months here on this station. This is the first time I feel like maybe I'm a little disjointed from the majority of the audience. But maybe it isn't the majority. Maybe the folks that are just in this audience that are most excited are the ones that really want this. And the rest of us are just kind of like, nah. It's just getting in the way of everything, folks. It's running the news cycle. It's just chum for the Democrat media to go crazy and say, look at the Trump administration in chaos. Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino, they hate each other. And then they're asking Trump about it. This is bad. This is bad on every level. We don't need the train rolling down the tracks to be slowed in any way. And this is totally self-inflicted. I think that's what bothers. It's gaining steam. All stories that, gain snowball over days. And this one's gaining like a snowball rolling downhill. And it's because everybody on the left wants to hurt Trump. And a faction of the people on the right are really into the Epstein thing. They really want it. They want it so badly. And I understand that, but self-inflicted, mostly by the Bannon, Tucker, Bongino class. Those are the people that did this. They are, the Glenn Becks, the people like that. They've done this on a national level. I'm thinking back to all the years that I listened to Rush Limbaugh. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I don't think he would have spent a whole lot of time on Epstein. I could be wrong. He would make jokes. I think he would make light of things. He loved to make jokes about the Clintons, and Bill Clinton was certainly on the Lolita Express a few times and all these things. I think he might make some jokes, but I don't think he'd be turning his show every day into government conspiracy. We got to get to the bottom of this. We got to go. I think Rush right now would be saying, let's move on. Let's move on and let's keep America rolling here under Donald J. Trump. And that's the camp I'm in. And I believe in that firmly. I really do. Okay, so a political action committee on the Democrat side commissioned a poll in May and June. This is a massive poll. It took them 2 months. In 10 states, these are swing states, and 21 battleground counties, they polled people and asked them to describe the Democrat Party and what they think of it and how they rate it. Less than 35% approve of the Democrat Party. These are in swing areas. They use the word woke, weak, and out of touch to describe that. And it is devastating. So the survey was conducted by a super PAC called Unite the Country, which is crazy because the Democrats are doing anything but that. And Democrat strategist Rodell Molyneux, a senior advisor to this PAC, told the website that produced this story, quote, "This is the reality of the perception of us as a party, and until we accept it, it's going to be hard to move forward in any way. There's a perception out there, outside of Democrat elites, that it's just not taking hold. It's not just the MAGA crowd, but it's other people that should be with us aren't. Democrats need to realize that in order to improve and get better, and not only win in 28, but to win in 2030, 2032, and beyond." In that statement, he's thrown the towel in for 2026. In that statement, he's like, nope, the polling's too bad now. It can't be what people think of Democrats after 4 years of Biden and COVID and the lockdowns and all the things that they did to us and the open borders can't be fixed by 26, is what he's saying. Maybe we can get better and have a chance in 28, then 30 and 32 and beyond. They're like, this polling is so bad about this party right now. They have damaged the brand. And it's not a politician. It's not like, okay, that's really, in my mind, the only thing that could fix them in 2028, let's say, is a politician that happens to be a Democrat, that cuts through and is just so appealing to Americans, so attractive, so smart, so charismatic, so whatever. If that politician's out there, is it Gavin Newsom? Is it Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania? I don't know who it might be. It's not Kamala Harris. America's decided that one. It's not Bernie Sanders. It's not going to be AOC. But if somebody's out there, that's what Obama did. Obama basically took a right of center country and convinced them that he was going to be a right of center Democrat, and then came in and put in health care for all. Right? That was a fraud, but people believed it, and they wanted to vote for him. They thought he was care. I don't think Obama was ever some great speaker. I think he's deliberate, slow, and pauses way too much. I don't think he's a great orator at all. That's just my opinion. Everybody's like, oh, he's so great. No, I've seen great communicators. Like Bill Clinton's better than Barack Obama was. Everybody was great. I mean, Reagan was great till Trump came along and you're like, well, that's a mic drop. Nobody's ever going to be this guy again. But if they found somebody charismatic, it would take care of their brand damage. But poll after poll after poll says right now, generic Democrat in America is Loserville. You do not want to be part of that party. You don't want to have anything to do with those people. You don't want to vote for them. Woke is broke. DEI is dead. These things are gone, and they went in a hurry. The most recent things that are gone are within the last 5 or 6 years, not 10, not since the day Trump came down the escalator. That did take 10 years. Getting people to where they're like, we got to have closed borders, and we want to kick out all the illegal aliens, that took 10 years. What it really took was publicly for people to see that crimes were being committed by these people, and real American citizens were dying or getting raped or being abused as children. And once people started seeing that, that changed everything. That took a long, long time. That took the full 10 years. But these other things, they're just toppling like dominoes now. Everything that party's been the last 5 years is over. They got to run from it. I don't understand. If their job is to have a party and win office, I mean, I guess I'll give them credit. Why don't they just start lying? Why don't they just say, I'm pro-closed borders. I'm pro this, pro that. I agree with Trump on this, but I'm a Democrat. There's a couple things I don't agree with him on. Like state things like trans issues or abortion or whatever, take that. But agree with him on these other things and go get elected and then be crazy left. I don't know what they're doing, but the polling tells them their party is toast. And I love it. 913-408-7957 is the number to call if you'd like to join us on the show. You're always welcome here. We've got Susan calling in from Lawrence. Good morning, Susan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I hope you can hear me. I just pulled off the road. I was driving. I'm from Lawrence, but I think it's an unusual opinion about the Epstein list and all the distraction that's creating. And I'm hoping maybe I can make some people understand their opinion a little bit better. Democrats like to scream that democracy is over when, democratically they lost because they just can't accept that other people have a different view. And it almost seems that way when it comes to conservatives and all this Epstein distraction.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there are definitely people who want to know, and, I'd be curious, but, they seem to think that since they believe that, it's so important
must be
to
true.
release this,
Yep.
that everybody must believe that.
Susan, I got to stop you right there. Your phone's cracking up a little bit, and I think it's our fault, not yours. I appreciate you calling, and I appreciate you pulling over. You're awesome. We're also due for a break. So we will take a break, and we are back with more on Uncanceled, KCMO Talk Radio, after we tell you about our friends at bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. Sometimes you need a friend in life, whether it's a personal issue or something going on or just somebody to talk to. Well, when you've got something going on in your life and you need to sell your house fast, you don't want to involve a realtor, have all this long hullabaloo of showings and cleaning up the house and doing all the repairs. If you just want to sell and move, Best Offer KC is there for you. They're your best friend in real estate in your time of need. There's so many different ways. Some people inherit houses. Some people have a financial issue or a personal matter or health concern. Call Best Offer KC, 816-338-SOLD. That's 816-338-SOLD for bestofferkc.com. Your friend in realty when you need it. You want to leave the hassle behind? You want to sell your house? Best Offer KC is there for you. It's bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind.
Kevin Kietzman is Uncanceled and back on Kansas City Radio, 10 to 11 a.m. on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Okay, I think we talked about this last week, Mark. You saw the video of the golfer that got thrown in the pond? Have you seen the video of that?
I haven't seen the video yet. I heard about it. But...
So this guy's drunk, and he's playing golf, and he's holding up the group behind him, and he has been for quite a while. And he's on the tee box. His club is laying on the ground, and he's like taking a nap. He's out. And the group behind him comes up, and they're like, hey, dude, get out of the way. We're going to play through or whatever. No, you're not going to play through. And he stands up, and he's a tough guy. Now, he's only like 30 years old. He looks pretty good shape, whatever, but he's wobbling a little bit. He's like, I'll do whatever I want. You get off my golf course. And you can't see the other four golfers, but one of the guys he's playing with is videoing the whole thing. And he's a tough guy. And he starts walking down this hill toward the guy. He goes, you want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? The drunk guy. And he's like, dude, no, I don't. Just get out of the way. We're going to play through. Nope. So he lunges at this guy. He's standing a little higher than him. There's a hill. And the guy's like, I will throw you in this pond if you come down here after me. And so here he comes. And he must think he's taller than this guy because he's going downhill toward him, right? This dude just spins him around and throws him in the pond. It's epic. He climbs up out of the swamp. He comes back and he wants to fight him. And the dude grabs him by the neck and holds him at bay until he starts swinging and hitting. And then the dude that's the good guy just pummels him, takes him to the ground. He gets back up. He pummels him again to the ground. Finally, he goes off. Turns out they learn a couple days later that the guy that was attacked, that won the altercation, that was not drunk, a former NHL player
Nice.
in Canada. He was what they called a goon, an enforcer, Nick Tarnowski. Well, we didn't know who the guy was that got beat up and thrown in the pond. He's come forward now, and his name is Trevor Ogilvie. And he's come clean, and he says, I've embarrassed myself. I've embarrassed the game of golf. I've embarrassed Canada. And he's like, my mouth ran faster than my brain, and I need to only play 18 holes.
At least he didn't start a GoFundMe for himself.
Right. This guy, it was like, how is this one? And plus, he was so much smaller than the hockey player. And you're watching it, you're like, this dude can really fight. And nobody seemed to know. Like, I don't think he was a famous guy. This guy had like more penalty minutes than minutes played. You know, he would go into the game, beat somebody up, get thrown in the box for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and sit the rest of the game out. So that's what he did. He was literally a professional fighter on ice skates. So beating up a drunk guy at a golf course, not difficult.
Yeah. Easy stuff for him.
Not a difficult thing. Did you see Trump with the Chelsea team at
Yes.
the FIFA Club Cup Championship?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of him staying in there in the celebration, and what do you think the Secret Service thought?
The Secret Service probably wanted him to get off, but I think it was fine. It was the year after the anniversary of him nearly getting assassinated, so I think he's just up there enjoying life.
He was. At one point, they all started jumping up and down with the trophy. Trump presents the trophy to them at MetLife Stadium in New York, and then Trump disappears into the group. Like, they're all jumping up and down, and Trump's back in there. You're like, where'd the president go? Like, if this was, some sort of a movie, you'd be like, uh-oh.
What happened? Yeah.
David Blaine's here, about to make the president disappear. Right? It was kind of scary for a second. I didn't see any Secret Service in the shot. They are usually 20 or 30 feet away, but I guess you wouldn't think much of a team. Trump also made a post about the Boston Red Sox. Did you see this over the weekend?
I missed that post.
Last week, the Red Sox were playing the Nationals, and four to come visit the president. And he loves athletes. And so some Red Sox players did. And Trump posted yesterday, the Red Sox haven't lost since they visited the Oval Office. That's 8 wins in a row.
They're up to 10 wins in a row now. It's crazy.
Fantastic. I think they visited 8 wins ago was Trump's point.
Yeah.
So I just think he doesn't miss anything, does he?
No, he gets it. He's on top of it.
That's absolutely incredible. And John Elway has been cleared of any wrongdoing in the death of his friend, Jeff Spurbeck. John Elway, the legendary Broncos quarterback and executive, was at a concert venue in Riverside County, California, a couple months ago. And his friend was riding on the back of a golf cart and flew off and hit his head and died. And the authorities there have ruled it was completely and totally an accident, no wrongdoing whatsoever. Does bring up the question of whether or not we should be riding around in golf buggies.
Yeah.
And if you're riding on the back, don't do it. Probably don't do something like that. It's All-Star Week, buddy. 4 Royals in the All-Star game, including Charlie Sheen. What a weekend he had. The Vince Show is coming up next.